GM, welcome to episode 3 of Protocol Explorer. Today I'm joined by Luke from Irys. Luke, you want to introduce yourself a bit?
What's up, y'all? I am Luke, who had heavy technical difficulties, but I am here now. I do developer relations at Irys. Irys is a provenance layer, but we also, what we're going to be talking about today is permanent storage and a way to create sort of mutable permanent storage. But we'll dig more into that once the show gets started.
Cool.
Let me share this. I'm digging these beats. Is this yours or is this
This is
the?
mine. Yeah, this is custom beats that I made.
It's nice.
Just experimenting. Like, I could use the supplied beats, but I was like, this is not fun. Let me spice it up a little bit. So I made this beat.
What'd you make it in?
Logic Pro on this MPK Mini.
Ooh, nice one. I left all my gear back in Bangkok. I use I'm an Ableton guy.
Gotcha. I don't know. I could never get into Ableton. It's just like I just really don't like the UI.
It took a while to learn. I think it was just that when I was learning how to make music, I didn't know what to use at all, and I found some tutorials teaching Ableton, and I vibed with the guy who's teaching it.
Gotcha.
So I think that was probably it. All right, cool. We are shared, and cool. All right, nice.
Awesome. So Luke, thank you for joining. Can you tell us a little bit about what we're going to be learning today? Tell us about Irys. About what it's all about.
Okay. Yeah. So what? Let's take a step back in time a bit. Irys used to be called Bundler. A lot of people knew us as Bundler, and we started out as a way to we eased pain points when working with Arweave. You know, we made it just much easier to upload data permanently to Arweave. Some of it was that we allowed people to pay in like 17 different tokens, whereas when you're working with Arweave, you can only pay with AR. But more than just paying with tokens, we allow you to sign with that chain's native cryptography. So if you're paying with Solana, you can sign with the Solana wallet. And same thing if you're paying with Matic or Near, whatever, you can sign with the associated wallet. We helped Arweave scale tremendously by bundling transactions together, hence our old name. But then we evolved into a provenance layer. And so what we started to do, we made it so with every upload to Irys was attached a millisecond accurate timestamp. So a timestamp not based on block time, but a timestamp based on true time, which can then be used for sorting and ordering of transactions. And the timestamp is cryptographic. It's part of a receipt that's cryptographically signed, so it's trustlessly verified. Anybody can verify what this transaction was, when it happened, and it can be verified, with or without our SDKs. Because it's permanently stored in Arweave, it's available there forever. And permanent data is nice, right? Like it's really cool. It's this thing that solves a lot of problems, but it's not perfect for every use case. There are use cases where we don't want permanent data, or we want to have some sort of auditable edit trail that can be attached to it. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Something we call mutable references. And what mutable references allow you to do is allows you to take a single static URL and then tie that URL to a chain of transactions, right? And you can update the chain of transactions at any time, but the URL will always resolve to the head of the transaction. And in today's example, we're going to be using it to build an NFT. So we're going to mint the NFT. The NFT is minted with metadata that is like a mutable references style URL. And what's neat, so we can use that URL to represent the NFT metadata, and you can open up an OpenSea or whatever and look at it. But at any time, you can push an update to the chain, and you can change the NFT. And, the obvious use case here is gaming NFTs. People who are doing some sort of, they're building some sort of NFT-based game, and they want to save state back to the chain. It could be like, your character evolves because you do some actions, and as your character evolves, we push updates to the metadata. It could be an asset that you buy, it could be a skin or some sort of asset that you buy that evolves over time too. but in any time you can always push updates to that metadata and evolve it. But there's a lot more than that. Like I think gaming is the obvious use case, but I feel like there's all these cool creative use cases that hopefully will be coming soon afterwards. Like I know everybody's crazy for points right now, and I'd love to see, like, instead of just collecting points, it'd be cool if your points were tied back to an NFT, and that NFT evolved like the more points you collected. It could be a music thing too, where like instead of an NFT representing the song, it could represent like the latest beat that artist created, you know, so you could like always be pushing new stuff to it.
Nice.
And then maybe do something like, okay, the NFT is always the latest song, but the NFT could unlock a way to view, like listen to the whole album or something. Sports teams, I could see like really something cool with sports here, where like the NFT could change if you had a victory, you know, or event-based stuff. Ticketing could be neat too. Like if you could have like an NFT ticket, but I think a lot of people get a ticket and maybe they don't go to the event. So like you could have the ticket being, okay, you got the ticket, right? But if you actually go to the event, somehow the metadata evolves and your NFT that looks a bit cooler, or like it's an NFT that becomes like a POAP or something along those lines. But so yeah, that's what we're going to be
would this be a good way to kind of conceptualize it? Like you mentioned, like an URL, like are we just like adding more URLs, kind of like a chain of URLs, or is just like that URL being updated?
So the URL never changes, but what happens is in the background, our gateway is finding all the transactions that are tied to that URL, and then we resolve that URL instantly resolves to the latest, to the head at all times.
Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah, but of course you can't. All those updates have to come from the same wallet, so there's no way to like maliciously mess with somebody else's chain. Like I couldn't go in and say, "Oh, Rahat's got a chain here," but I'm gonna take this Taylor Swift song and say that that's the latest song. Like I can't push to your chain. Or I mean, I could technically push a transaction, but it won't. The URL won't resolve to my malicious update.
Makes sense. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So how do we get started on what we're building today?
Okay, so how about, let's see, I gotta share screen, right? So I go share screen, allow StreamYard to see your screen. Not now, wait, allow, okay. Hold on. Of course, I'm doing Firefox for the first time too, so now it's not working. Okay, entire screen, okay. Oh, and I gotta open system settings. That means I gotta leave and come back. I will be right back. Oh man, what is going on with us today? Okay, hold on. I should have remembered this. Okay, Firefox. I think it's gonna want me to log out, quit and reopen. BRB, my friend.
Sure. All right. Just waiting for Luke to come back in. This should hopefully just take a quick second, and we'll get started on today's episode. So the beat you hear in the background, maybe you like it, maybe you don't. It's one I created this week. I think I'll be adding just like a couple things that I make over the next couple of weeks, slowly customizing the stream little by little. And we're back.
Hopefully for good this time. Entire screen. Man, the tech gods are not happy with me today. Okay, so I think I'm sharing my screen now, right?
Okay, let me just add that to stage. Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, so everybody can see my demo?
Yep.
Oh, you know what, dude? Of course I like, oh man, I haven't installed MetaMask into this browser. Yeah, okay, maybe you just need to entertain the people with the story while I do this. All right, let's talk while I do this. MetaMask.
Let's talk about onboarding onto Web3 and having to download wallets and all this nonsense. There's so much.
Hey, have you used Privy?
Yeah, I love Privy.
Yeah, we just added support to Irys for native support for Privy. I haven't posted about it yet, but I built a a PWA, like a sort of an Instagram like photo sharing app with it. It's so cool. Like you just log in with your email address and an Ethereum wallet's created in the background.
Nice.
Yeah, Privy is really, really dope.
Do you all support smart accounts?
Smart account, what's that mean?
Smart contract wallets.
Oh, no. Like what you guys were doing at Biconomy?
Yeah.
Yeah, not yet, but we've been talking about how to best do it.
Nice.
Yeah. The problem is, can they sign a transaction?
Sort of. So usually an EOA signs on behalf of a smart account for a transaction. So it'll be attached to some EOA who's the owner. Or it could be signed by like a passkey or something like that. Yeah, there'd be some work needed probably to figure it out.
Yeah, because what happens is every time you upload to, so Irys has Arweave too. It's sort of a sign. Create a new wallet. I agree. Well, everybody's gonna see my seed phrase. Wow.
This is exactly what you should not do, folks.
Yeah, you should prepare for your things better. Well, it doesn't matter. Secure my wallet. Remind me later. I understand.
Super insecure today.
Well, go away. Oh, it didn't even show it. Okay, so I think, how do you pin something? Can I pin this? Pin to toolbar. Okay, man, I'm sort of a Firefox virgin. All right, will this work? Oh, beautiful. Nice. Thing of beauty. So the way Arweave works is you pay once and the data is guaranteed to be retrievable forever. You pay a very small fee at upload time, but you also sign that transaction too. So when you work with Irys to upload data into Arweave, transactions under 100K are free. So as we're going through this demo today, you'll notice we're not actually paying anything. We're just signing transactions. And the reason is because everything we're doing is under 100K. So I guess I'm gonna dig into the demo. What I've done here.
So is that limitation per transaction or like in total?
Per transaction. So you can push per transaction as long as the transaction is under 100K. It's completely free.
Got it.
And it's nice. The reason I'm talking about it, a lot of people are like, oh, 100K, that's not much. But in the context of updating metadata, 100K is like way more than enough, right? There's some, you can check the docs. I forget what they are exactly, but there's some level rate limiting. I think it's like you can't do more than 1 per second. So you can't like spam the network, but you can do like, it's either 30 or 60 a minute. I think it's 60 a minute. So you could do plenty, but you definitely couldn't create this script to just spam the network. But it's neat, especially gaming NFTs, because, if your character gets upgraded, your character gets pushed, people aren't going to want to, pay a transaction fee to upgrade that metadata. And with Irys, you can just push that metadata out completely for free.
Got it.
And so what I've done here is I made a really simple NFT, and I've already minted it just so, we don't need to go into smart contract design because I can't really teach about that anyway, because I suck at it. But what I just created a very simple NFT, and you can see it just has a plain color. And now what we're showing here is this is the NFT metadata. It's called Rainbow NFT. Here's a symbol, a description I stole from Skittles, and there are some attributes, which has here it's just the color. And you'll notice, right, if I click on any of these different colors, it changes this attribute here. Now the attribute's just there for reference. It's not actually what we're seeing here is actually a PNG. But I wanted to include that as part of the demo so people could see that if they were like creating a gaming character, they could easily just add a whole array of attributes here, and that NFT would get pushed. Now below it, you see the metadata URL. I'll click on that so people can click through and see it. And you can see this is the URL to the metadata, which is the same thing we're looking at right here. And you'll notice the format of the URL. It's gateway.irys.xyz, which is our gateway. And then there's this word mutable. And then there's this long transaction ID. Now this transaction ID in the mutable references URL is the base transaction ID. So it's the first transaction ID in the chain. And then when we're pushing updates to it, and we'll look at the code a little bit, when we're pushing updates to it, you take that base transaction ID and you attach it as like as a tag to each subsequent update. So let me do the demo first, and I think people understand better. So here stuff is this lovely teal color now. What color should I change it to, Rahat?
Let's go purple.
Purple. This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is your purple background. This is the color you gave me. These are the backgrounds. So I'll click Save State, and what's going to happen is it generates an image. It just generates an in-memory image, and then we save that image. It's going to get loaded right here in the image parameter. We save that back to Irys. When that happens, because it's less than 100K, we're prompted to sign the transaction, but we're not prompted to pay for the transaction. So it comes up here, wants me to sign the transaction. Boom. Give it a sec, the image gets stuck in there, and the new metadata gets updated. Now if we go over here to click refresh, click refresh, boom, it changes to purple. Now, of course, this is just me, so you might think, oh, whatever, Luke can do whatever he wants. But, of course, if we go here, click refresh metadata. Now it says come back in a minute, but I find it usually comes back in a few seconds. Boom, it updates.
Let's go.
Right, it's cool, huh?
Yeah.
So let's dive into the code.
So this is cool. Yeah, I like what you were saying before about this would be useful for like gaming NFTs, because now you can do things like leveling up a character. You know, if you're playing like a JRPG and need to grind before the next boss or whatever, and like updating probably like the stats and all that. Even like in battle, updating the health as you're battling, things like that.
Yeah, and because it uses our millisecond accurate timestamps and not block time, you can like push sort of rapid fire sequential updates to, you know, if it's like in a battle where like players are battling and metadata is getting updated rapid fire like every second or so, you know, there's no risk of stuff getting out of line. It's like that chronological order is always maintained.
If you're using something like Privy, are you able to take advantage of like their signless experience?
Yeah. Because we use those. We've got something next week. There's a repository out now on our GitHub. You'll find it where we integrated Privy to build like an Instagram style app, and that's really cool too, because you like when you save images, and I do the same thing. I let people take a picture and I upload it, but I resize it to less than 100K first, and there's no wallet interaction at all. In fact, this Privy app we just built doesn't even feel like a Web3 app. You just log in with your email address, and then you can like take pictures, upload them, view other people's things.
Nice.
Yeah. Privy is dope.
Yeah, 100%.
So what we're looking at here is, you know, it's a Next.js application, and I guess you've got the URL to the GitHub. You can share in the comments.
Yep.
And there's a couple components. So there's this our main page, and then on the left we have configure NFT component, and on the right we have the show NFT component. Now, what happens? Let me walk through this again. There's actually two Irys updates that happen when you click Save State. And I coded them in different ways just so I could demonstrate both styles. The first one that you actually see when you click Save State, the very first transaction is it's generated an image in memory and then uploading that image to Irys. We're assigning the transaction. Once the image is uploaded, it's embedded in the metadata, and the metadata is also uploaded. But for the metadata, you'll notice we didn't have to sign a second transaction. And the reason being is I did that as a server-side transaction. I created it as an API route in Next.js, and that's another way to abstract away the whole like Web3 experience. And I wanted to show both in this demo. So like, if you want people to sign transactions and have cryptographic proof that it was their wallet that actually created the transaction, you can. But if you feel like that's not necessary, you want to tie everything back to a key on the server side, you can also go that route too. So let's step through this first transaction first when you click Save State. And And again, to make things easier, it happens from the show NFT component, but we don't need to dig into all the React stuff. I mean, people don't really care about that. But what you'll do down here is you look in utils, there's this file Irys functions.ts. Now, the first one here is this function called get web Irys. And the way Irys works is it's almost like a centralized layer that sits on top of decentralized Arweave. And we have these nodes. Node 1 and Node 2 are used for permanent data uploads, and there isn't really much difference to them. They're just two different nodes we have. Those are for permanent data uploads. And we have a DevNet node, which is used for when you're prototyping and building apps. On DevNet, uploads are kept for roughly 60 days, but on DevNet, you also only pay with free faucet currencies. So you can pay with Sepolia or Mumbai Matic or any of these free faucet currencies. That doesn't matter. So it's a nice way, like Arweave doesn't have a DevNet too, so it's a nice way if you're building an app on top of Arweave, you can work with our DevNet too without spending any extra money. And then when you want to move over, you just switch to a different node. So the way you connect to a node is you create a new web Irys object and you pass the URL to the node. In this case, I'm connecting to node 2. You pass the token you want to pay with, and in this case, it doesn't really matter. I passed Matic just because you have to pass something. But again, since the reason it doesn't matter is because I've reduced the size of everything to less than 100K. And you pass a reference to the user's provider. In this case, I went with Ether 6, but we support Ethers 5, Ether 6, Veeam, Wallet Connect, Privy, a whole bunch of others. But it just seemed like Ether is the simplest way to demonstrate stuff. So you connect to a web Irys object, and you call this function webirys.ready. And once you've connected to it, then it exposes a bunch of upload functions. There's 3 main functions. There's upload, which takes like any kind of binary data. Upload file that I'm using here. Upload file accepts, you can guess a file. And we also have upload folder. Upload folder is neat because you can pass any number of files, 10, 20, 30 files all at once. And when they get uploaded, their original file name is maintained. So people like this a lot when they're doing things like creating an NFT drop. They might upload 1,000 photos all at once. And, they were originally sequentially numbered, like 000.png to whatever, 999.png. And those, when you create the new URL that's created afterwards, maintains that original file name. So it's a nice way to upload a large number of files at once and manage them in an easy way afterwards. Once stuff is uploaded, you get back a receipt. That's the signed receipt. And you can access the file. I just print this to the console log here. You can access the file by referencing our gateway and the transaction ID that you can get from the receipt. You don't have to wait. So what happens is you upload to Irys. Irys makes sure it's finalized on Arweave and seeded to a bunch of different miners. But even when in that time, it takes around 100 minutes before it's finalized on Arweave. So even during that time when it hasn't been finalized yet, the data is still immediately available from our gateway.
Nice.
So yeah, it's cool, huh? It's kind of like, and it's super fast. Like you see how fast it is. It's lightning fast. And so you can see that there's not like a lot to it. I create a web Irys object, boom, and then I upload it just like that.
Are you able to upload multiple files at once?
Yeah. Let me show you that too. Of course, I'm using a new browser. None of my memory is here. Providence Toolkit Irys. So we have this open source UI library called the Providence Toolkit. Did I spell that wrong? Provenam. Yeah, we have this open source UI library called the Providence Toolkit. And it's just a bunch of components you can either like use directly or learn from the code.
Nice.
And so that this is a component to fund a node, so if you were like, if you wanted users to pay for their uploads, you could incorporate something like this. But we have a lot of nice uploader components. And this standard uploader is a way to upload. But you know what? Actually, let's even do this because I haven't funded this. So standard uploader is a way to upload files, and you would have to, in this case, pay for them with Mumbai Matic, which of course I haven't loaded in this MetaMask. The gasless uploader, this is where we use a private key at the server to handle the upload. So let's see, what do I have? Okay, so here is gotta find this. Let's go here, documents, game sprites must have stuff. I know I've got some images somewhere. Okay, here's a bunch of images, right? Some game sprites. So I can upload all of them at once. Click upload. And this calls the upload. This is our Irys.upload folder function. And boom, it uploads them all at once. You can click this to preview them, and you can see the image. But watch what I do this. Let me copy the image link so you can see what the URL actually is for the image. So this originally was called 04.png.
Right.
And the URL it's generated is our gateway. Oh, you know what? That actually gives the directory. Okay, never mind. But there's two ways the URLs are formed. One of them is, this is the directory. I forgot it shows it that way. But there is a second URL that references just the original file name. And then you can click here. You can see the receipt that was built for this too. We've got a bunch of other components here, like one that this mints an NFT right on Solana. This is a neat component here for querying, because all uploads to Irys, well, to Arweave too, are taggable, and those tags are indexed and queryable. It's one of the neat things about Arweave. So if you're uploading a lot of transactions, you don't need to maintain your own database of those transactions. You could just throw all of them at Irys and then query later. So you can do something like this, which is like, here I'm querying real time for PNGs signed and paid for with Solana and uploaded to node 1. And why aren't they showing? Let's see. So yeah, that was a sort of a long roundabout way of explaining to you that yes, you can upload groups of files at once.
Nice.
You can also do the same thing from the server. So let's get back to the code. And so this is what happens when you upload an image. It calls this upload image function. We tag it, we upload it, boom. That's it. There's not much to it. Now, once the upload image is done, we'll go back to this show NFT, or sorry, configure NFT. First thing it does is it uploads the image, right? And then once the image is uploaded, we change the metadata and we upload the metadata. And the metadata I pass through this API route here. So it just sends it to an API route. And on the API route, instead of creating a web Irys object, we create just an Irys object. We take our JSON, we tag it application JSON. And this is how we make immutable references. The mutable reference, we tag the JSON, the next item in the chain with the tag that's called roottx and is named our original transaction ID. And as long as we name as we add this tag to it and name it roottx, whatever the original transaction ID is, it's going to maintain that chain. And that's kind of all there is to it.
That's awesome. That's pretty simple. Like, I feel like it's pretty intuitive. Not a lot of code needed to actually do this. This is dope. I love it.
Yeah, it's cool, right? It's like, obviously I know how to use Irys because I've been building with it for a year, but I think I spent 4 hours yesterday building this demo project. So it's like, maybe someone who's new to it might spend 8 hours as you learn to get up to speed and stuff, but
right.
Maybe not even that, 6 hours. Our docs are there's tons of code on our doc site. You can just copy and paste, throw into your projects.
Nice.
But like I said, it's I remember when I started here, I was I started to create the docs for this stuff. I'm like, it's not going to take me that long to get these docs done because it's all just so easy. It's really easy and intuitive. And it's a nice typed SDK that
love it.
It behaves in the way you think it should. And I think part of that reason is we've abstracted away a lot of the complexities that usually come with building on a blockchain, where you don't have to wait to a transaction to be finalized or any of these other things. And it's permissionless too, so you don't need to create an account. You just, you have a wallet and you can start uploading stuff. It's funny because it's permissionless, we don't always know who our clients or our users are, right? And there have been times where we've had all of a sudden we started seeing a lot of transactions from some wallet ID. We don't even know who they are. We have to act like Nancy Drew and try to figure out who this person is so we can reach out to them. But I guess that's one of the cool things of Web3.
Nice. Cool. No, I think a lot of tools kind of gloss over that UX aspect, right? Of let's not force everyone to interact with every single piece of Web3, and just do the thing that they want to do. If you just look at regular Web2 apps, you're not interacting directly with AWS, right? It's just a thing that happens. It's there in the background. You don't need to care. I shouldn't have to care.
You don't need to know about it.
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's sometimes we create these obstacles that make it so much harder to onboard new devs. There's so many different levels of devs, and you don't need to be this amazing rock star dev to build really quality apps. There's definitely a mindset of people who can build blockchains and who can do really, really hardcore stuff. But I think there's a much, much bigger group of devs that know how to build a website in React, or know how to, build a website in Sitecore, any of these things. And if we're going to onboard the next billion devs into Web3, these are the people we need. And not everybody needs to be PhD level computer science person who understands how computers work. I think it's one of the cool things about software development now is you can build really neat software, but you don't need to understand how a computer works. You don't need to understand how memory management works. And that's something that's changed a lot in the last 20 years, 20, 30 years. You used to have to know so much more about software to become a developer.
Gotcha. No, yeah, 100%.
But to your point, I think in blockchain sometimes it's we expect people to know so much shit to you're on blockchain, you need to know how the intricacies of how a blockchain works, and that's I think we shouldn't expect people to know that much stuff.
Yeah.
Because if we do, the number of blockchain devs is going to be 10,000 worldwide forever.
100%. Cool. If folks want to get started building on Irys or interact, what are the best ways to do that?
Best way is just go to our docs. Let me throw it here. docs.irys.xyz. That's the best thing. Or Discord. We're really active in Discord. Discord.irys.xyz, our Discord address. So, start the doc site, start the Discord, but if you have any questions, even the smallest question, or you don't understand something, really don't feel like it's a dumb question or worry about wasting our time. You should just hop into the Discord and the developer channel, spin up a new topic thread, and we'll get to you really, really quickly. So I think I'm really proud of the docs. I think the docs look great now, but so much of the reason that the docs do look great and have evolved in the way they have is because we get questions from users. And every time we get a question, if the answer isn't in the docs, then I make sure to update the docs to represent that. So
nice.
Definitely reach out. If you're new to Web3, if you're new to coding, if you just have some idea. I get people pretty frequently too to book time with me to have a coffee chat because they're just they're starting to plan an architecture. They have an idea and they want to know how to use Irys in their architecture. And if you're someone like that too, definitely hit me up on Discord or on Twitter too. And I'd love to just get on a chat and just brainstorm with you for half an hour.
Nice. Just dropped Luke's Twitter handle. That's at Space Agent. So if you've got questions, make sure to hit him up. Cool. Thanks so much, Luke.
What about you? You've been building some gaming stuff, right, Rahat?
Sort of, a little bit. I was playing around with mud for a little bit. Once I started, I was like, "Ooh, now I understand how difficult this actually is." Just conceptualizing kind of what goes into a larger game was very difficult at first. I'm not quite focusing on that anymore right now. There's a couple other things that have piqued my interest that I'll be releasing soon. But yeah, let's see.
Any hints?
We'll see.
All right. Yeah. What about you? When you see Mutable References, what kind of like ideas do you think of as the projects you could build?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Gaming by far definitely stands out the most. But I think looking at like Web3 social, right? Everything is all about interactions, data that has to be constantly updated all the time. Having all of that on a blockchain that you're like having all of that even on like an L2, like I don't know, base or optimism or something, is, even though like they're designed to be cheaper and faster, the experience doesn't go away, right? Of like transacting every single time. So having something like Irys come into play now, where you can actually abstract some of that away and have that availability, through a chain like Arweave instead, is definitely very helpful for Web3 social. I think like even Lens and a bunch of like Lens clients use Arweave, I believe, for like video URLs and things like that, right? So I think if you're going to be building in Web3 social, and you're going to be building something that's very interaction heavy, this is probably a good place to start.
Yeah, Lens. Originally, they were using Polygon for everything, and they built their hybrid scaling solution, they called it, or they called it an L3 at first, Momoka. And Momoka uses Irys, but specifically it uses our timestamps and our ordering service to order, like, so they push all like posts and comments and everything get pushed to Irys and then onto Arweave. But it's our millisecond accurate timestamps that allow them to properly sequence make comments appear in the correct chronological order. And it allowed them to, I forget now, but I remember when they first launched it, it was like, they had this maybe they still have it, that you can go and see how many transactions have been posted and how much it costs. And it was like, when they celebrated 100,000 transactions, it was like $18 in revenue for us. It was like ridiculous how incredibly cheap it is to push this sort of stuff, especially smaller, really data of any size, even larger amounts of data are really affordable. I'll show you this before we jump out. We've got a really neat new, let's go share screen one more time. We launched a neat new upload calculator. You can see my screen, right?
Okay, all good now.
Okay, so people often ask, okay, yeah, you have to pay to upload. How much does it cost? And we launched this cool new calculator. Of course, my net's being wonky. I'm down in Chile now, which is wonderful. It's like summertime. The sun goes down at like 10:30 at night, but
I need some of that.
And the net's weird. It's like, oh, dude, I cannot tell you how nice it is down here. It's like, it's really good. But like, the internet is an issue. It's like, sometimes it's great. That's the funny thing. It's like, sometimes it's great. It's solid. And then sometimes it's like this. It's like, I don't know what's going on. Okay, cool. So on our docs here, cost to upload, you can see base stuff. So if, say I want to upload one megabyte of data and I want to pay in Ethereum, it's going to cost me this much ETH, or like 0.01 cents. These are all the tokens we support. So you could, I don't know, so you could pay in Solana or something too. Or, even just look at how affordable it is to upload 1 gig, 1 gig of data uploaded permanently forever, it could be retrievable in 10,000 years. It's going to cost you $11. But what's neat is like, when we were designing this, we're like, okay, cool. But most people don't know how many bytes of data they have. Most people just think, okay, I've got 1,000 NFTs. So what you can do here is you can just say, okay, here's all my data. And this calculates the number of bytes that your data is and says, okay, let's see, why is it doing that? So you just boop. yeah, like these 2 files are this many bytes, and that's going to cost me exactly that.
Nice.
So if you are curious about how much an upload's going to cost, you're getting ready to drop your NFT collection, you want a budget for it, and you can see here. And what's neat too is like this is it. Like there's no costs down the line. Our gateway doesn't have any rate limits on read requests, so it's like if you're dropping an NFT collection, this is how much it's going to cost forever. You don't have to budget monthly storage costs. You don't have to budget monthly serving costs, monthly hosting costs. It's all just this one price. And what a lot of people keep telling us is how much it just makes financial planning easy. If you're an NFT company and you're going to be releasing new drops all the time, and you want to guarantee to your users that they're going to be able to own that NFT in 30 years, planning, projecting how much a collection is going to cost 30 years in the future can be really difficult.
100%.
And the way Arweave does it is really neat. That fee you pay to upload, 5% gets paid to the miner, who like the block rewards for the miner who creates that block that gets accepted. The other 95% gets sent to the Arweave endowment, and the Arweave endowment is reserved for funding future storage in case mining ever becomes not profitable. Mm-hmm. So it's like they're created, and it's never been used. And I forget how long Arweave's been around, 6 or 8 years, that they've never had to touch the endowment. So the endowment holds this massive amount of AR that's never been used. So there's this reserve there if needed. And the other way it works too is that when miners compete to win compete to produce a new block, they get challenges from the protocol, and the protocol challenges them to produce random locations in the existing weave. So the more data it's however many terabytes it is, I forget now, but the more you hold, the more data you hold, the better your chances are of winning block rewards. So miners are incentivized to store massive amounts of data and not just like a small section of the weave, which is how the Arweave protocol has been designed to make it so that data really is there forever. Like it's financially sound way to keep data around forever.
Interesting. Nah, that's really
cool. It's fun, huh?
Yeah, 100% is. Cool. Anything else that folks should know?
That's really it. I think, we talked about, I made this rainbow NFT because it was a nice, easy way to do a demo, but really people should think about it as not just gaming, but it's any way you want to save state on chain. And it's a really nice way to save state on chain. And to manage stuff in a way that's, in some ways it mirrors like a Web 2 experience, like www.nytimes.com is the front page of the New York Times, but what's actually on the front page of the New York Times is going to change over time. And in the same way, like you could use Mutable References to do something like host your website on chain. And you might, if you're going to be pushing updates to the website, you could push them at any time. But as long as the URLs were Mutable Reference style URLs, you'd have that same static URL that would always resolve to the most recent version of your website. And then you would just, set up your domain to resolve to that. And then at any time you could push updates to the website, and that website would always exist and be there on chain.
Got it. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
So a lot of cool stuff can be done with it.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you for being on this episode of Protocol Explorer.
Thanks, my friend.
I think we have... we just have a couple fans. Have a great stream. Thank you.
Ooh, Cat Catalyst. We've been chatting online.
Cool. Awesome.
Can't tell if it's a watermelon or a coconut she had. I think it's probably a coconut.
I think it was a coconut.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions before I bug out?
No, I think that's it from my end. Thanks so much, man.
Hey, cool. And apologies about the tech problems.